I think it's fair to say that Gustav Mahler was one of the most extraordinary talents in the history of music. He wrote 9, almost 10 symphonies, and the message in those symphonies is so extraordinarily powerful for all of us. The Third Symphony is very special. First of all, it's his longest symphony. Some would say it's his greatest symphony. It's written in 6 movements. And actually, when Bruno Walter, the very famous conductor who was a young friend of Mahler's at that time, he went to visit him in Steinbach right after he'd written the piece, and he started looking at the score, and Mahler said, "No, don't look at that. Look out the window at the mountains." He felt that this piece represented all of nature. And in fact, it is a kind of a piece about progression and development. The first movement originally had the title, "What the Mountains Tell Me," what the stony mountains tell me. But it's really also about summer marching in. It's actually about sort of the beginning of life. And it is, the word awesome is overused, but this truly is awesome music. He uses no less than 8 horns to start the piece, and he kind of quotes the last movement of Brahms's First Symphony, but somewhat altered in a majestic, noble, phenomenal way. And very quickly you realize that you're going to be dealing with something absolutely massive, full of enormous contrasts. And essentially the first movement is about the beginning of life, the possibility of nature coming to life. There are marches, sort of popular marches that Mahler loved to use in his music. Also fanfares, brass fanfares, tremendously powerful and dramatic. And the first movement itself lasts longer than many symphonies, over 30 minutes. It's absolutely extraordinary as an experience. And then you have the second movement, which is What the Flowers in the Meadow Tell Me. And it's an incredibly delicate, when it begins at least, an incredibly delicate minuet, which talks about the beauty, really, of nature in its most intimate form. And this movement has other sections in it which are very dramatic and exciting, but essentially it's really a very delicate piece. The third movement is What the Animals Tell Me. And this is a really interesting movement because it's a reference to his song, a Wunderhorn song called Ablösung im Sommer, and it's about the death of the cuckoo and how tragic it is that the cuckoo has died and who will replace the cuckoo. Well, it seems rather an odd statement to make about a piece of music, but actually it's symbolic of, again, of development. And at a certain point in this third movement, when all of the animals are going crazy, suddenly things calm down and you hear from a distance a post horn, the most wonderful melody. And I always feel in that particular moment that this is the first voice of man. And it's so delicate, so intimate, and also played from a distance. But the movement ends in tremendous excitement. And then we have the fourth movement, which is What Mankind Tells Me. And this features a mezzo-soprano or contralto, a low female voice. And it is inspired by Nietzsche's Midnight Song from Also sprach Zarathustra. And it's really how deep is the world, about the pain of the world, but that joy will overcome. And it's extraordinarily intimate and exquisite music. Very, very peaceful, very, very intimate and noble at the same time, but with an extraordinary kind of beauty. And then a total contrast. Fifth movement, What the Angels Tell Me. Suddenly there's a children's choir and a ladies' choir, and they sing about what the angels feel, what the angels remember, what the angels tell us. And finally, probably the greatest movement of any symphonic movement, in my view, What Love Tells Me, the sixth movement, about 23 minutes long. There is nothing more beautiful and exquisite than this music. It is, I remember so well the first time I ever heard it, and I could not hold the tears back. But they're tears because the music is so beautiful. There are tragic moments in it, and it ends finally with such a sense of life affirmation that one is overwhelmed. And in the first performance, apparently the applause went on for 12 minutes. It's rather a long time. This is something not to miss. It's very rarely played. It has huge forces, such an enormous orchestra, very, very unusual to get that kind of a size orchestra together. To hear that here in these incredible mountains, and particularly in Chautauqua Auditorium, which has such a marvelous acoustic. Don't miss it.